Can, and you're watching Kilt Can Cook, the Scottish cooking channel that encourages young men and women to have the confidence and competence they need to conquer the kitchen. As winter approaches, we need to find for ourselves a nice hearty meal to build up our fat stores. Aye, and for that we're going to go to the source of all good, rich, hearty cuisine, German culture. We're going to cook Jaegerschnitzel. And, because of a special sponsorship deal from a friend of ours, we're going to be using hazelnuts, also known as filberts. It's a delicious dish, you'll love it, I already love it, let's be about it, shall we?
Alright, Jaegerschnitzel. Now this is a technically challenging recipe, and if you can make this, you are likely to be a success at cooking and at life. Now I want to thank my friends at Ropp Farms who provided the hazelnuts known as filbert in Oregon, where my mate is from. We can give them a wee bit of a producer credit, which includes 10% of what this episode makes in its first month, which will be nothing. Sorry mate. Alright, we're going to preheat our cooker to 400 degrees so we can roast our nuts. We use about a half cup of nuts here, though I recommend having a full cup of nuts for your own cook. While that's cooking, we're going to prepare our other ingredients. They'll create a nice rich gravy that will enhance the flavour of our bacon sautéed pork chop. As you can see, I used one onion, and it's a small one. I will use about 5 to 6 mushrooms as well. Very nice. Now, after about 15 minutes or so of cook time, take your nuts out the cooker and peel them. You know what, this is really hard. Screw this, I'm going to take all of my nuts and put them in a sack, just like so. I'm going to flatten it out, get all the air out, squeeze it all out. Make sure all the bits are off the board, and then we're just going to start wailing on it with a hammer. Aye. Now if you've got a food processor, I recommend using that, because it gives you a nice, finer blend. This rough blend, it doesn't coat quite as evenly, which is a problem that I run into later. Your typical pork chop is about pretty thick and has a nice fatty edge to it. Once you cut the chop in half, so it's about a ½ inch thick, and cut off that fatty edge, stick it into a bag and flatten it with a hammer. Aye, this is a lot of fun. This is good for getting all that aggression out. Just start hammering away at it so it's nice and thin, and it's perfectly good. Nice and serviceable. I'll take it to the bag. Look how flat this is. Oh, it's so much fun. Alright, so we're going to crack an egg, and we're going to lightly beat it. You don't have to beat it too hard, just so it knows what it did and does not do it again. Bit of a joke. Kind of fell flat. Eh well, they're not all winners. Now we're going to take a half cup of flour, put it on a plate, and set your nuts in either a bowl or plate. I recommend a plate. I flubbed it with a bowl. Salt your meat. Oh, that's way too much salt. Oh well, scrape it off, be a wee bit more careful with your salting on the other half. Just like so. And now we're going to put our meat into our egg batter, and put that into our nuts. And this is where a plate would have come in handy, and where a finer blend of nuts would have come in even handier, because it would have more evenly coated everything and tasted better. Oh well, there are a lot of technical errors here. You should be used to that by now if you watch this show for any length of time. Alright, we're going to cook some bacon, so it's slightly crispy. We want all that bacon grease so that we can cook all our other ingredients in that bacon grease. I know some of you are really excited about that. And the rest of you are probably checking your cholesterol levels to see if you can even eat this dish. As each piece of bacon is done, I'll let it drain off a few seconds so that all that grease comes off. We're going to be wanting that for our dish. Oh, I feel sorry for my vegan friends. Alright, now you take out the bowl, dump your veg inside, and let that saute in the bacon grease. Also, make sure you add a wee bit of salt to it. Bacon imparts flavour, but it doesn't necessarily impart enough salt for all of this. Shouldn't cook in any time at all. When it's nice and brown, you can just scoop it out, and try to save as much bacon grease as you can, because we're going to be using that. To supplement the small amount of bacon grease that's left, we're going to add some olive oil. Now, personally, I am a wee bit terrified of trichinosis. So, we're going to cook our pork chops for 4 minutes on both sides, and then 3 minutes. 4 minutes, flip. Like so. And then after the other 4 minutes, we're going to flip it again. Look at that. And now we're going to let it sit for about 3 minutes on this side. As you can see, because we did such an uneven coating job, some of our hazelnuts are falling off. That's just a problem you have to deal with. I'll let this flip for more time, just because I wanted to, didn't have to. At this point, it's pretty much cooked. This is just me paranoia coming through. Alright, at this point, pull it off and get it ready for a gravy. Oh, it's going to be good. Take 4 tablespoons of butter. Let it melt for a second or two. Let it swish it around so it gets all those nice juices you just had absorbed. All the bacon grease and all the pork fat, all the stuff that comes out of the mushrooms and onions. Then add about 2 or 3 tablespoons of flour. I didn't know how much flour I actually use because I didn't measure it. But gravy's an inexact science anyway. We're creating a roux right now, which is basically just a butter and flour mixture. It's very nice and good. Makes nice gravy. I wanted to add a wee bit more flour because it wasn't seasoning up quite as much as I wanted it to. And once it gets to that nice gelatin-like phase, we can add in a tin of beef broth. Oh, this is good stuff too. The recipe I used said 2 or 3 tins, but you really only need 1. Unless you're making like 4 or 5 different chops, which I didn't do. Whisk it around a wee bit, aye, like so. And the thing about gravy is it takes a wee bit of time, but once it's thickened, it's nice and good. And don't forget, you've got to season your gravy. Even though there's a lot of beef broth in there and bacon grease and all that, it still needs to have some sort of flavouring, like salt and pepper. When you get bored of watching your gravy thicken, which shouldn't take any time at all, it is time to add your other ingredients. All your bacon, or your mushrooms, or your onions. Oh, it's perfect. And then just whisk it all in, let it blend, let it sit for a wee bit, and then add in your chops. As you can tell, I did do 2 pork chops, but I didn't show you me cooking the second one, because it really wasn't necessary for the purpose of this video. It would just take a way bit too long. At this point, we're just reheating everything. That's all that we're doing here. We're not cooking anything. And when it's time, it's time to plate now. Oh, look at that. It looks good, doesn't it? I used rice because I had some already made, and the rice tastes amazing with the gravy. And I love green beans, so it can't go wrong there. But you can use your own side dishes. Do whatever you like, I don't care. In the meantime, you're watching Kilt Can Cook, the Scottish cooking channel that encourages young men and women to have the confidence and competence they need to conquer the kitchen. Thank you for watching. Oh, and if you didn't mind, hit the like and subscribe button so that I can prove to my YouTube overlords that I am worth keeping and paying. Thanking you.